Listening an audiobook is reading. I rest my case.
Okay. Okay, I disagree.
Your head started getting bigger.
I know.
Bigger,
I'm like,
bigger.
let him speak.
It's the morning scramble. Z102.9.
On the topic of audiobooks and whether or not that constitutes, air quotes, reading.
Reading. Today is going to be kind of cold. We had a little bit of flurries or something in the forecast. And one of us said something about good day to curl up with a book.
Well, I was reminded, too, you just spoke to your alma mater.
Yes.
Mount Mercy University. You were an English major. I was an English minor at the University of Iowa, and I just remember lots of reading classes.
Totally.
And as I look now at students, I remember specifically from the professor, don't use the Cliff Notes. At a minimum, at least read a chapter or two to get the feeling of the book. Well, these days, isn't that the equivalent of just listening to a chapter or two of an audiobook? In my world, that counts as a reading. And that's the case I'm bringing before the courts. It's pretty short and sweet.
You want to go?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Proceed.
Thank you. I'm a very slow reader. I read a book, I put it down, I get to it months later. I'm trying to be a little bit better about that.
You and my husband are similar.
I just finished a book from Bob Iger, the guy that used to run Disney, his leadership book, and I really got into it. I loved it. And I thought maybe I could take advantage of just the drive from here to home to here as a time to listen, because if I'm in the car already, I might as well listen to books and digest the information as compared to it just sitting on the shelf. So it's doing me no good in printed form anyway. And once the audiobook came out, aha, eureka, we have a solution to getting the information, to getting the words relayed. Because if you are the writer, if you think about it, at the end of the day, your goal is for someone to consume the words, whether or not they do it by eyeball or earball, it's coming into their brain. So in my world, listening to an audiobook is exactly the same thing as reading. You're just pulling it into your brain in a different way. Also, some people learn better listening than reading. So why not? Listening an audiobook is reading. I rest my case.
Okay. Okay, I disagree.
Your head started getting bigger.
I know.
Bigger,
let
bigger.
him speak.
Okay, show me where I'm wrong.
Okay, here's the deal. I understand that there are, and I would say that there is a time and a place for audiobooks. I have used audiobooks on car trips. We have motion sickness in my family. Like, reading in the car is not a possibility for any of my sisters growing up, so we would listen to an audiobook, something different. So I understand time and a place. However, I think that there is a huge difference. I love storytelling, but I think there is a difference between an audiobook and actually reading the words. I think the way that you listen and reading are two different ways of interacting with the text, because reading is more interactive. If you miss something, you reread it, you make sure you have the understanding. If you're just passively listening, you're not really going back, you're not understanding, you're just moving on. You could be daydreaming, not really even thinking about the words that are floating around in space. I also think that when you listen to an audiobook, especially if it's like a story, there is a narrator who is telling the story, and the way they read impacts the way you listen. So they can add voices to characters that, give them a filter or a lens that maybe you wouldn't have interpreted. So I think that reading it for yourself has you interpreting how those characters sound, has you giving them faces, voices. And I think that reading is not the same as listening to an audiobook. I rest.
Okay. I accept your position.
I accept your position on some times. But
on some levels. Okay. I think today and all days, listening to an audiobook is reading. If you're voting for Eric, audiobook equals reading, yes.
If you agree with me, Claire, it is not the same. No.
Okay, it is jury in a hurry. We're looking for yes, it's reading. No, it's not reading.
No.
That's all we need from you as the jury pool. And as we do, I officially open the phone lines now.
No.
Claire gets
Thank
a
you,
no.
juror.
Hi, jury in a hurry. Listening to an audiobook, is that reading?
No, because you want to have an experience of what the characters sound like and how their faces and their attitudes, and not somebody reading it to you, because they don't even have exclamations sometimes. It's just so boring on the audiobook.
Well reasoned, juror.
He just listened to your whole argument.
I know.
It is jury in a hurry. Listening to an audiobook, is that reading or not reading?
To me, it's not actually reading. Reading is physically seeing the words on the page. Both are valid ways to consume a book, but reading is actually physically reading the book.
In the definition of the question, Claire gets another point.
Thank you, juror.
Yes.
Hi, Jerry in a Hurry is listening to an audiobook reading.
No.
Another no.
I'm
Claire
taking
on this
off.
one.
Thank you. Hi, Jerry in a Hurry. You're listening to an audiobook. Does that count as reading the book?
100% counts. I think if you can count Braille as reading and you can take it in through your fingers, you got to be able to count taking it through your ears.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're reading the book in Braille. That's using your fingers because you can't use eyeballs.
Well, yeah.
That guy's
but
brilliant. Brilliant, man.
That was not it.
Hi, Jerry in a Hurry is listening to an audiobook reading. Yes or no?
Yes.
Another. Wow. I was
Eric,
expecting zeros.
This is a rally.
I now got a 2.
Yeah.
Jerry in a Hurry listening to an audiobook. Reading or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, where are all these yesers coming from? Because I was feeling very cocky and
They're calling
confident
from
for just a second.
Smart Town. So they all live in Smart Town.
USA.
Hi, Jerry in a Hurry is listening to an audiobook reading. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Claire.
Well, we are
Whoa.
now deadlocked here, 4 versus 4.
Color me surprised. Jerry in a Hurry listening to an audiobook. Does that count as reading? Yes or no?
No, definitely not. Although I wish it did. Thinking of all the extra reading I've done. If
Oh, I want to count it.
Thank you, juror.
Okay, Claire, that puts you to 5-4. Hi, juror, listening to an audiobook. Does that count as reading? Yes or no?
No.
No.
it does not. Okay, all
Okay,
right.
now
all right.
you back into the lead and just 1 vote away.
1 vote away from clinching this thing.
Jerry in a Hurry listening to an audiobook. Does that count as reading? Yes or no?
No.
No! Oh!
Thank you,
Cuts
juror.
like a knife.
Yeah, it does.
Ouch.
Reading is completely different.
Completely. Thank you, juror. I will walk off.
The morning scramble, C102.9.